I don't remember everything.
When you were a kid, you used to go to Fenway Park because you lived in Somerville. How many times did you pay to go in there? Did you ever pay?
No.
And how many times you think you went there?
100.
And you never paid?
No.
And you had 4 other brothers that used to go too?
No, they didn't all go. But
Sometime.
I went with other buddies.
And how did you get in?
Well, if there wasn't enough ushers to watch one turnstile, we'd just run and sneak under and be gone.
Mm-hmm.
The guy, if they saw you, which they did, they might say, "Hey, that kid," you know. But by then we're gone. We're all in.
Right.
So nothing ever happened, and it wasn't worth them their while to catch us and kick us out. And we kind of liked that. That was part of the game. They'd say, "Hey, that kid did this or that," but we'd be gone, and that was.
You told me you all got there at the same time, and then you'd all split up, and you'd all try to find your own way in, and you'd meet inside?
Yeah, I know. I remember distinctly. After later on, when we got back to Somerville, we'd ask each other, "How'd you get in? How'd you get in?" And we had different, gates that were unattended or weren't attended. I mean, even if you went to a turnstile and you ran under, the guy that was in charge of it would say, "Hey, that kid got in," or call, or they wouldn't. It wasn't worth their while to chase a kid that snuck in. They wouldn't chase it. I think they accepted it.
Tell me about the kid that he got in. He went up the back wall, and he got caught in the net. Wasn't that a friend of yours?
Oh yeah, we had a friend that.
Remember his name?
No, but the only reason I remember that is because the newspaper people put a cartoon of them jumping up and down in the net, the left field net. They put a left field was a short way, and that was the quickest way to get a home run, was to hit it into left field, and it was easy to get up there and climb into the net. But I never went in the net because it was shaky,
right,
and dangerous.
So he was in it jumping around?
He went in, and the cartoonist the next day had put a cartoon of the kids that jumping around. And
Well, you used to go to Harvard Stadium too, right? Quite a bit.
Harvard Stadium, yes.
And was that one tough to get in? Because you never paid anywhere, right? Ever.
No.
But you went to as many games as you wanted, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It was just a matter of getting in. I mean, if you have one usher at a stadium taking tickets, and you got 6 or 8, 10 kids going in, he never,
He could only get 1 or 2 of you, maybe at the most.
He was lucky, yeah. Or he wouldn't get any.
Right.
What could he do? He can't leave his post
Now wasn't there one game or some games that you had trouble getting in? So you saw a line for people where they were hiring people selling things, and so you got in that line?
No, but there was a lot of times when the crowd of people were coming with legitimate tickets, grown-ups, we'd go in and pretend we were with them.
Right.
That was a common thing.
But didn't you get into the stadium by getting in the line to sell popcorn and Coke and peanuts?
Yeah. I remember. There was a line. I didn't even know what it was for, and I found out they were all popcorn. They were in line to get popcorn, and then they had and I come out the other end of the line with the popcorn to sell.
But you got into the game. Did you sell the popcorn?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we might sell one or two.
Yeah.
But we weren't trying to make money.
Right.
None of us thought about money.
You just wanted to get into the game.
Yeah, get into the game.
Now you did that in Fenway too, didn't you? To get in.
Yeah.
You sold stuff in Fenway, yeah.
We did all kinds of things. One way was to get a bunch of guys with some guy. They'd be going in, you'd go in next to them. They always thought, well, this is the guy's son or something.
Yeah. Didn't you tell me that one guy thought he was going to be nice to and take a boy in or something, and you would sit with him? Because he had an extra ticket. Why don't you come on in with me, son? And then you went in and sat with him, but of course you didn't like him.
Oh no, if we used to say, got any extra tickets? Get any extra ticket? And a lot of times the guy would say, yeah, come on in, kid. Come on in, kid. You know, they may not have an extra ticket, but they'd say, come on in with me, you know, and they'd pay a ticket. You'd get in. The minute you get in, that was the end of that guy. Had no thank you or anything. I just went the other side, got away from them, because they thought they were treating you.
Yeah.
And you had no intention of them treating you. You just wanted them to get you in. And if you weren't close enough, they figured it's the guy, that it was your father, or, you know, that was common. I mean, you'd go where there was a crowd, and
you told me once. I'm not sure which series it was, but this was when you were older. Maybe you couldn't get into the park, or it was a World Series. So I don't know if anybody ever has seen Fenway Park in the right field. There's a place where there's no seats, or this is the way it used to be, and there was an empty spot. So if you and there was some buildings in the background. If you went in the buildings and looked through that slot, you could see home base, but that's about all you could see.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, there was. There was a building next door, and we could see in Braves Field is where we went a lot in Alston, because that was only a mile from our house, and that was very easy to get in. We had all kinds of ways. They had no money. You never intended to pay.
Right. It was never paying was never an option.
No, we didn't even think about it.
Right. Now, if you wanted to get around town, I'm sure you would walk, but of course you have the subway system, you have electric trolleys. They used to hitch rides on trucks, the back of trucks.
Yeah.
How about trains? Did you ever hold on to the outside of a train? That would be kind of dangerous, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, they're always looking out for kids, you know, because we weren't the only kids that would sneak on. They had, none of the kids had any attention, had any money, or would had any intention. The only way you get in is if you sneak in.
Right.
And that's why I distinctly remember we would compare how you get on, which gate you went into, and which guy that worked there, was easy to get by. Some of them didn't do their job, but that was so common.
Now, we were talking about hobos earlier because we were listening to a song about hobos.
Yeah.
And you said there was quite a few hobos around. I mean, of course,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
you were born just after the Great Depression, so I'm sure there was still
Yeah.
a lot of hobos.
Yeah. I mean, I never associated with them, or none of us did, but they were accepted class of people and respected that they rode the trains.
Did people consider them dangerous, or?
Nobody considered the hobos illegal, doing anything illegal. They were just part of the scenery. They rode the train. They were a class of people. And I assume that the people that work for Dixie, that's who they were.
That's here in Twin Mountain, New Hampshire, where my mother grew up. My grandfather, Dixie Miner, used to have a hired helper sometime that was a hobo.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And do you remember some of the hobos here when you came to visit my mother when you were a teenager?
I remember Whitey, and he was my mother-in-law liked, and they all liked this guy Whitey, and they kind of were more lenient with him. They let him stay longer, actually be on vacation there. I'd give him a place to sleep, and he would work, and they would give him work to do around,
And he would sit at the table and eat with the family?
Pretty much, I mean, if we ate.
And he came year after year, or he just happened to show up?
Yeah, no, he would just maybe show up or not show up.
Right.
Didn't make any difference. And Dixie always had a job for them to help him out around. Marlene will tell you about that.
Right.
They never came to Somerville because we had too many kids, and also we're all in 2 and 3 family houses. So
it wasn't the best place for a hobo to get a meal.
No, he wouldn't go there. He'd go to a place like Dixie's, like Marlene. That's exactly where they would go.
He would get off the train and then walk down the road and knock on a door.
Go to a house and or you would get him. They were always looking for a place to stay, and it was just part of, it's common.
Yeah. When I used to visit Groveton, there was a place called Hobo Jungle, they called, and they said in the old days, the hobos used to gather there and camp out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did every city have a place like that where you could?
Most big train stops would have a place like that the hobos went down. There was hobo jungle, they called it. These were all,
Did every town have a place called Hobo Jungle?
I mean, I was in the city, I never did it, but if I went up to New Hampshire or something, we might hop on a train and there would be a place where all the guys that didn't pay, or hobos, if you want to call them, would go, and you'd go there, and it was like a little camp area where they cooked and everything. But they were sleeping outside.
And everybody was friendly there, and
Oh yeah.
they drinking?
Yeah, there was no. They were
Weren't they known to be drinkers, or?
drinkers.
Yeah.
No, we never thought about drinking.
No, I mean the hobos. Were the hobos drinkers?
They might have had a bottle of wine or something, but they weren't drunkards at all.
Right.
But they would have a bottle of wine. They might be winos, what I would call winos, were they are alcoholics, but we call them winos.
But you were never afraid. You would never be afraid of a hobo or a group of hobos.
Oh, no. You were practically in the same category. You had no money, but they had no money, and but there were in every town there was a group near the railroad station.
Right.
And that's where they got the hobo jungle.
Right.
It was nothing illegal about it that we thought of. We just thought of that's where the hobos go.
Did you ever consider hoboing a train, or?
No, no, not because I was ashamed of it, just because I wasn't a hobo.
Right.
You know, none of us Vaughans or any of us would considered ourselves poor.
Were the hobos considered poorer than you? Did you think they were poorer than you?
We never thought about that. They were like train men, or like we respected them just like anybody else, working man. It was like we never thought that was illegal.
Would you ever, if you had a little extra money, would you ever give money to a hobo to help him out?
Yeah, but I never had any money for myself. I mean, we used to sell bottles with it for a nickel. We'd collect bottles around in barrels and stuff. So, if you had to do that, you weren't going to give money to anybody. You might invite them to come with you and do something like that.
Right.
But it wasn't illegal.
Do you ever remember as a kid doing anything that was charitable? I know you didn't have any money yourself, but did you ever think of, I'm going to help this old lady do something, or I'm going to help this
No.
this church dig a ditch or something for free, and or?
No, when we...
Do you ever remember helping anybody for not getting paid?
On Wednesday was before the Ashmen. They come around to pick up the garbage. We used to go out to the garbage, the barrels that people, especially in Harvard Square, they had more. Sometimes you get some.
They were richer people?
Yeah.
So you would look for what? Old pots and paint? Anything metal? Because you could get paid for the metal, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we'd be happy if we found a clock or something like that.
A frying pan? Couldn't you sell that to the metal man?
Oh yeah, a frying pan. Yeah, we would take that.
Would you just carry it in your pocket, or did you have a
No,
did you have a little wagon or something? Or
No, we'd carry it. It was in a depression where people had no money.
did you ever find anything in the garbage that was worth any money, and a little bit more, or anything you remember that maybe you found something that you got?
We'd have a clock or somebody threw away something metal that looked like it was worth something.
Right.
But we never made any money on it.
Right.
We were what you call street urchins.
Right.
Urchin.
And you knew that at the time that that's what you were?
No. Our mothers and fathers never told us to don't go to ash barrels because we might find a nickel bottle. A bottle that we could get a nickel.
Because they had no money to give you anyways. If you wanted to go into town, you wouldn't say to them, "Can I have some money for lunch?"
Oh no. Oh no.
Even though you'd come home at night, they know that you had to have eaten.
Yeah, but I don't remember discussing something like that.
Right.
I mean, if we were going that day to Fenway Park or Braves Field or something, they never said, well, how you going to get in or anything. What are you going to use for money? You go and you go.
So they never said, "Are you sneaking into that field? You're in trouble now. You're grounded," or
No. They didn't care. It was just, that's what the kids did.
you left in the morning. Let's say in the summers, you left in the morning and came home at dinner time.
It all depends.
Yeah. What about when you guys got home? What would your mother or father say? "Where have you been? What have you been doing?"
Yeah, we all sit out, and then
Your father would say, "What have you been doing?" What'd you say?
we'd say, oh, just out, that's all, and then nothing went on.
No.
But we used to sneak in the movies. That was common.
Was that hard to sneak in?
If you got caught sneaking in, all they did was kick you out.
Right.
So that was no penalty. We'd get caught and you're out.
You taught me to sneak into places,
I did.
Oh, sure.
How to sneak in.
Yeah. What's the best way? Once we went to Pleasant Valley, the professional golf tournament, and all the big pros were there. And I was with my friend John Pusis. And the tickets were kind of expensive. So you found a road that was a dead-ended to the golf course. And you said, and there was a tree, you could climb up the tree and get into the course, but you had to run across the fairway. So you said, why don't you just climb over this fence here and run across the fairway? So that's what we did. We climbed over the fence and over the tree and down, and we ran across the fairway, and the players were hitting their shots.
Yeah.
And I remember it was really wet, and I slid, and I almost fell. And there was some security there, but we were, like you said, we ran into the crowd. And you told us just that you'd see us around. Of course, there was no cell phones, but we found you in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That would be common.
But to me, that was like a big deal. But to you, that wasn't a big deal, right?
No, because I had done it many times myself.
So even when you had money to pay, you still wanted to sneak in like you were a kid?
I never remember having money.
Right. No, but I mean, when you were older and you had a job and money.
No, I wouldn't.
Would you sneak in then?
No. Not if I. No. No, we would get a cheap ticket.
Right. Would you ever, when you went to the games, did you ever get box seats? Box seats
Yeah.
are the ones
Once in
right
a
close
while,
to the
a
field.
guy, you know, some guy had box seats or something there, and he liked you or something like that, or because we used to go to a guy we thought was boss seat. You got any extra tickets? Got any extra tickets? And a lot of times they did.
And they had a box seat?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
They could, yeah.
But then you would just dump the guy as quick as you can.
Did you ever walk on the field or run across the field?
No, we didn't go out in the field because that was pretty hard to do. I mean, those ushers that worked for the Red Sox, they were strict.
Right.
It was, there's a lot of places that were not strict, you know.
Right.
And you knew.
How about the Boston Garden? Could you ever get in there to see a Celtics game?
Yeah, but that was kind of hard too, and also it was that late at night, and we didn't often go to games at night because we had to be home.
Right. You had a certain time you had to be home, or dinner time just to eat?
Well, a lot of times we knew we'd get in trouble, and we didn't want to get in trouble with the police.
Oh, I see, yeah.
If you got in trouble with the police, that was, we didn't take it lightly.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever have to run from the police?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was,
How many times? Like once or twice?
no, if you were outside Fenway Park and you saw ushers and policemen in one gate, you stayed away from them. If you tried to go in, they might chase you.
Right. Did you ever get caught by the police?
No, they wouldn't do it.
You were just a kid, yeah.
You were a class that they knew that they had to deal with you. You know, they knew, well, you know, there was a way to get in, and kids started to go in there. You know, they would just shoo you away.
Right.
That's all.
But did a policeman ever have to bring you and your brothers home and say I caught him sneaking in, or I caught him?
No. You know, all the policemen don't want to go to my mother and father, find out where I live and all that. They'd never do that, even if they caught you stealing. But we didn't steal. We never did anything like that.
Did you ever pay for trans? Did you ever take a subway and put money in the turnstile?
And not put money in.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you ever pay as a kid for a subway?
Not if we could help it. If it was a busy hour and people were going by and knocking and putting a dime or a nickel in, we'd get in with the crowd and go in and just go in. And,
Would you jump over the turnstile or crawl under it, or?
I don't ever remember that, but I do remember going to there was one at Braves Field when the busy hour, all the people were coming in, they just put the dime or whatever it was, and the usher would stand there looking at the train, you know, to collect it, you know. But lots of times he would see somebody that did the trick of putting your hand out like you put money in and you weren't putting any money. Then you go, hey, kind of, you know, something like that. They might yell at, but they weren't too sure. They couldn't be bothered either. They didn't care.
There was just too many of you.
Yeah, too many. Not only me, but legitimate people that were going in. You know, they were just busy, you know.
You just you overwhelm them with a bunch of kids.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the kids, it was the crowd, and you knew when the crowds were, you know, like the transfer, there might be 50 people all pushing to get into the game. So
You just get in between them and go in.
you would get in the crowd.
And what about a seat? What about when you get in the stadium? Where would you sit if it was sold out, or any seat you want, or any free seat? You ever get kicked out of a seat because the guy came in with a ticket and said, "What are you doing in my seat?"
Oh, yeah.
Really? That happened?
If a guy had a ticket, he wouldn't go in there if someone was in a seat. But we had all kinds of tricks to fool people.
And who taught you? Who taught you all these tricks? The other older boys or your brothers, or
Yeah.
were you pretty good at being a trickster, or to get things free, or get your way, or get into movies and stuff? Were you pretty good at it?
No, we didn't sneak in movies much.
No, I mean, but were you pretty good at tricking people? I mean,
No, but there were things that were obvious to us.
Yeah, right.
That if 4 of us were going in, 3 of us may be caught.
Right.
And then just throw you out.
Yeah.
So you didn't care.
So you expected maybe if there was 3 or 4, you rush the gate and 3 get in and 1 gets caught,
Yeah.
and then he has to find another way in.
Yeah. He would just be kicked out, or half of them might be kicked out. Hey, you kids, get away from there.
But he couldn't get all of you.
No, and they couldn't be bothered, and of course if we got 1 or 2 into, but the Braves Field was easy. Braves Field was the easiest.
Did you ever get to meet any of the players? Like get into the dugout or into anything like that?
No.
After the game, maybe as they were leaving, or?
No. We didn't think anything we did was illegal. That was the worst first thing. We knew that we could get caught if it was a movie or something.
There was no penalty unless you were caught by the police and held by the police.
Oh, they may be more strict, but they didn't do anything either. They were just kids that were expected. They expected it.